Hello, 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 hello. Um, guys, welcome here today, and
Hey, what's going on? Can you hear me?
I'm still Ayode Janifooshe, and I have with me one of my wonderful brother. Is actually my in-law, and he's been one of the great men I've seen around over the years, uh, and I really mean that without any reservation. So, brother, you're welcome. All right,
All
guys.
right.
Yeah, I've been 30 days challenge this month, sharing different things about um, how people could be a great father and husband, and then give some encouragement out there. And today we are going to be talking about, people feel, oh, it's not possible. It's really possible to be a great father and be a great husband at the same time. And then, like, okay, in that case, we'll start bringing people in that have lived that life, and they can share with other people so that we can all learn. And uh, I'll just ask you to introduce yourself so that everyone gets to know you all around the world watching. All right, join us. Welcome, Mr. Colinius. All right, can you just tell the viewers who you are, what you do, and a few information about yourself? All right.
Yeah, yeah. You can hear me, right?
Yes, sure. Clearly.
Okay, great, great, good. Yeah, my name is Cornelius Oluwabenga Adetiba. I live in Houston, Texas area. I have five children. Four of them under the age of eight and under, and then one who is a little older, just started college. And so uh, we are here in this household. I've been, married to my wife now for we just hit the 10-year mark. And, I work in finance, and we kind of just manage the house. We've got four little children running around here. And just try to do the best we can to manage the house, manage our relationship, uh, and make sure we're doing the best we can by all.
Yeah, looking at where you're coming from. Um, Over the years, it's always we've seen of a father being very nice to the children, or a husband being very good to the wife. And it's always difficult. There are not so much examples of people to pick where there is a balance. Like, it's difficult for me to cope being a good husband, and at the same time, when kids come in, and I can still balance it up with them. You've been married now for several years, like you mentioned. How have you been able? How have you been a great husband to your wife over the years? What are the things that you do that really separate you as a great husband?
You know, it takes work, and what I try to do is just be thoughtful. I think it's easy to, especially with children involved, to get caught up in the lives of your children, who are very important, and doing things with them. And sometimes the relationship you have with your spouse can either take a backseat or suffer as a consequence of that. It's important, we talk about, my wife and I, watering the garden a lot. And so just being thoughtful. I do simple things. I try to get fresh flowers every 2 weeks. That's just a little something just to remind my wife I'm thinking of her. I try to make on the weekends. I don't get to cook all the time, but on the weekends I try to cook the meals for the whole family, and for my wife. I try to we're fortunate. We have a nanny who helps us, and at least once a month we try to get out and have a date night where we just go out and the nanny will watch the children, and then we'll go out somewhere and have a chance to whether it's to grab some dinner and just communicate, and do some things separate from what we're doing in the middle of the day.
Yeah, I guess the network is giving us a
Those
little.
are some of the things that I try to do and we try to do to kind of keep our relationship fresh, even in the middle of trying to raise four little children and one grown child.
Wow, wow, wow. That's a lot. So now when you now started having kids, how have you been able to manage it? You know, managing your role as a good husband, and then you got the first kid, second, third. How have you been able to translate to move from that to have that transition successfully? Like when you add one child, being able to manage each other, and then later on you guys move to children. How have you been able to go through this transition easily without having any itch?
Yeah, so any relationship is going to have some challenges, and whether it's with the spouse, whether it's with the children, you will have tests. You will be tested. Your patience will be tested. Uh, I enjoy. I was always someone who liked kind of the big family. We came from. I came from a household of five siblings, and so there was eight of us all together, including my parents, and so we had a big household. Um, I have now, a household with several children, and I enjoy doing I enjoy doing activities with them, reading with them, going out and exercising, riding bikes. So we try to get a lot of things done, and I enjoy spending time with them. Um, and so that's something like if if you don't enjoy time with your children, then it's easy to kind of find other things that fill your time. But children obviously love to you know do fun things with their parents, and to the extent that anyone is able to make sure that they're involved, finding activities, finding fun things to do. Um, I think it adds to the kind of strength and cohesiveness of the unit. So this is something we always do, whether it's going to the park, whether it's here in the house and finding activities that we do, and it takes, you have to be proactive. You have to think about what it is that you're going to do to fill the time. It's easy to kind of lean on either TV or iPads, telephones, other devices to fill the gap. But I think it's useful to be hands on and find things that take you away from some of the leanings on technology, on screens, on TV, on social media, and have kind of that interpersonal interaction. So that's something that we do. I think it's something that I do personally, and certainly my wife and I, we try to do those things with the kids as frequently as we can on the weekends and other times, when we're not at work.
Oh, good. So now, so obviously, before you guys started having kids, you guys, had opportunity to spend time together. So when you started having kids, how are you still able to get those times to spend with each other with four kids now, one of four kids now, with no children you have? How have you been able to still keep up? spend time, because some people believe by the time you start having kids, it's difficult or it's impossible. Let me just say, some people believe it's impossible to still spend time with your wife, even after having, kids.
Yeah, so that to separate time, it takes, you have to be proactive, you know, uh, especially the more kids you have, and then when they're young and they're demanding of your time and your energy. um, it's going to limit the amount of time that you are able to spend with just your spouse. And that's no different in our household. We do have, um, we're fortunate that we have someone who comes and works during the week, based on our calendar, and is able to help with the children sometimes. So we're able, like I mentioned earlier, to sometimes get away. I try to do that at least once a month, sometimes more than that, to get and go out and leave the children with the nanny, and we'll go out somewhere and grab a bite to eat, or go out and see a show, or go out and just do something where we're getting our own time. Then separately from that, we try to get the kids down, early enough in the evening by 8:30, 9 p.m. And once they're down to bed, that gives us a little bit of time to talk, to kind of digest, to communicate, and do some things outside of the normal hustle and bustle, where we're running around, scrambling around with all of the children in the house.
Wow, wow, wow. One of the things you said was, you need to you need to enjoy spending time with your children. Do you have experience with being around children before you got married, or was it something that you started learning on the job and put it away?
So, I have an older daughter that was from a prior relationship, and she was born, when I was just out of college. So I was kind of young, and her mother and I were friends, were college friends, and so I had the experience, and I was always actively involved with her from day one. And so, even though with her mother, we went different directions, we maintained joint relationship in terms of managing, taking care of our daughter. So I had the experience, um, where I was, not with several children, but with my daughter, where I was uh, taking care of her for all throughout, from when she was freshly born all the way until now she's a college student. And so for me, when I got married and we started having children, it wasn't a completely brand new experience. It was different because this was in the kind of the framework of being married and having a family, but I had had some background experience in terms of child raising, doing activities with a child or with children, and so I don't know if to say that was prepared me, but in some ways, I think it gave me some kind of experience, so that it wasn't completely brand new at the time when we started, and started building our family together.
Wow. Because some people feel you need some kind of practice, uh, experience. You need to uh, you know have have a kind of learning structure to get to know how you want to take care of kids because it takes a lot. And then I think personally, I just feel, you know, sometimes some people I have to learn on the job. Let me put it that way. Some people have to learn on the job, no experience, and all that. And now, with all of your experience over the years, obviously, with what you said, you and your wife are so busy. How have you been able to create time that you've been creating for your children over the years, and you've been spending time that you enjoy with them? How is that possible? You are busy, your wife is busy. That's what many people say today because they're going to tell you they're busy. You know, they have to go to work, they have to get so many things done, and all they are still doing is for the kids. So, how have you been able to get time out of no time for the kids? How?
Yeah, it's a balance. It's a balance, right? Because if you have a busy life and your career, your job demands a certain amount of time and hours, you have to do that. That puts food on the table and keeps the roof over your head. So that's something that you have to do. Everyone has different works that have different amount of demand on your time. And so we my wife and I, we have two very different professions. She's in the medical profession. I work in finance. My work tends to be more along the typical work life in terms of the time frame. You know, weekdays during day working hours from 8 or 7 in the morning down to 5, 6 p.m. Sometimes there's requirements to do additional work, but I try to just balance that time. So when I'm at work or when I'm doing work, I do everything I can to make sure I'm on top of the work that I need to be doing. And then when I'm home in the evenings, in the weekends, I try to give time as I can with my family, with the children, go over their homework, go over the things that they studied and focused on during the day. We do activities sometimes in the evenings, oftentimes on the weekend. We get out of the house. We'll do things in the house. We'll build train tracks. We'll do science experiments. We do a whole lot of things, and I try to just make sure that they, they're building a memory base of things that they did uh, growing up that they can remember, and they'll take with them. They'll learn from. They will enjoy. Um, from going to the park, from doing activities here in the house, from going to the zoo or running around in the backyard or taking our bikes through the neighborhood, which we do sometimes. We'll ride our bikes. So, I just try to find different things that we're going to do together that they will enjoy. Uh, they also have friends that they spend time with. And just like any other little kids, they enjoy spending time with their friends and doing things. So we try to give them that space as well. um, and it's just balancing the time, so as anyone has a calendar, you have your work, you have your relationships, you have your children if you have any, then you have maybe you have some outside your friendships and things of that nature, and you work that all into the calendar and try to balance it all, and make sure you're trying to give as much as you can without without shortchanging anyone.
Wow. Oh, that's good. Now, the activities that you create for the children, are these activities based on some research you did, or you found it somewhere, or you're just trying to test run to see which one goes along with the kids, or how were you able to gather up these activities?
Yeah. So it's a combination. We live in a world now, I think, where it's easy to kind of research what other people are doing and seeing things that maybe you see some examples of other people, whether it's on social media, on YouTube, or some other place. um, you know there's activities that you remember doing when you were young that you can use as a reference point. I've gotten, books that have experiments and different activities to do, that you can do together with kids. So I buy those books and put them as part of the collection, and use those if we're going to do an experiment, or if we're going to build train tracks. We have those, and we have a number of different toys, and the kids enjoy doing that. We have a yard. We'll play outside. We'll set up cones and do races, or if we're gonna hop on the bike and ride through the neighborhood, uh, we do that. Or take we go out to the park and throw the football, throw the baseball, go on the slides or the swing. So there's just so many different things that you can do. Uh, some of it is gonna be, you know things that you research, learn about, or some of are just natural things that you enjoy doing. Maybe you did when you were young, or you see other people doing. So I think there's just so many different ways, um, to kind of figure it out. It's just a matter of kind of being proactive and thinking through, okay, what do I want to do? How do I want to spend this time? How do I want to, kind of leave some kind of imprint, and on the kids, and what do they enjoy doing? Sometimes you'll look at what other things that they enjoy doing. They may bring some things to your attention that, you have not thought about, that so it's a journey, but there's just so many different directions that you can take. But it's nice to, um, be able to research if you're, kind of unsure what are some good things to do. There's so many examples online of different things that people are doing that they're enjoying, and I think people can learn from and take from, and use as, kind of reference, or as a tool, or as a, something that they may be able to, adopt or incorporate into their part of their calendar.
Wow. Um, I think that leads to my next question. And my next question is: you spend so much time with your kids. Uh, so is it that you have a schedule of when you go out with your wife and that of your kids? So how do you balance up, or do you guys have a particular schedule for each month? Like, okay, this particular day of the month we are going out together. That's you and your wife. Okay, this day of the week, we myself and the kids. Or how do you get all that going without clashing?
We try to work a schedule, with, my wife's schedule, work wise, it bounces around a lot. So she works shift work, and so her schedule is not consistent week to week, day to day, month to month. It changes, but she, uh, has that schedule ahead of time. So we kind of work it on the calendar, and some days she maybe work overnight. Some days she may work during the day. Sometimes she works on the weekend. Sometimes she may be off on the weekend. But we know all of that well in advance, and based on that calendar, we'll decide. Okay, here's a good time when we can kind of go out together. Here's a good time when we can do this or do that. My schedule kind of stays the same. I work, weekdays during the day from morning to the evening, and then I tend to have my free time in the evening and then on the weekend. So um, I do what I do, but we work around that schedule in terms of us doing stuff together and as a family. And then the time that I'm doing things with the children, or even if I'm meeting up with some friends of mine, I just work that into the calendar. And we have our nanny, as I've mentioned, who works with us, and we work her schedule based on the needs and the times that we have, or we want to carve out to do things separately, where we might lean on her to watch the children, for example.
Oh, wow, wow. Now, some people have believed over the years now that the job of taking care of the kids, which which is what you're doing now, at least when we started this last session, she was trying to sleep, and right now felt comfortable sleeping on your chest. Some people feel all that work is for the women, and there have been so many arguments in several homes. People have fought over it, and then they have so much contention on this issue. What's your opinion about the roles of taking care of the children? Do you think it should be the woman's job alone, or do you think it should be a shared responsibility, or do you think it's whoever is available? What's your opinion?
Yeah, so that's a great question, and I think different people have different perspectives. Obviously, I think historically, or across the globe and in this country, that it's fallen on the mom and on the woman to be the child bearer and the child rearer, uh, to be the one who cooks the food, who tends to the house, who takes care of those things, and then maybe the role of the man is to go out and be the breadwinner and go do the job and bring in the money. I think those are kind of traditional uh, frameworks that people. It's the way the world has operated. Um, for me personally, um, ever since my first daughter was born, I was just very actively involved, and at the time, her mother and I were still talking to each other, and had a relationship for some time. And even after the time when we were no longer dealing with each other, I was always very actively involved. So my daughter, if she was with me, I changed the diapers, I did her food, I found activities. So that was always a part of what I did. And then, when I got married, and we had children, I was always involved in that process. So from the process of changing diapers to feeding food, and doing things, splitting some of those responsibilities, it was just something that I always did. So you know, do I think that that's the role a man should have, or not? I think it's good to be actively involved and understand that. But every household is different. Every household is different, and some households the roles are flipped. Where the wife is the one, or the mother is the one who's going out, and she's working. And sometimes you find a household where um, the man stays at home and does a lot of the work. But I don't think there's a one size fits all uh, framework. But I know for me, um, I've always been very actively involved in in splitting the responsibilities and doing what I can, to raise the children, to make food for them, to change their diapers, to do activities with them. So, I just think we're in a kind of a different age now, and there's no reason why you have to stick to a certain paradigm, even if that's what you're used to, or that's how you grow up. It doesn't mean that that's the way it has to be. So, I don't have a problem with people splitting the responsibility. I think it shows a good example for the children as they grow up to understand that, there's not a definitive uh, rule as far as what a man can do and what a woman can do and who's who and what's what. So,
Okay, yeah. So, but growing up, we all know that our parents has a lot of impact in our lives, and they kind of as a kind of if we look at some of the traits of the things that we do, uh, most of them are probably the things that we got from our parents. So, what do you think from your father, from your role as a father now as a husband? Uh, will you say most of these things were the things that you learned from your dad, that you saw your dad do over the years, and then you got into that culture? How would you say what are the things you probably learned from your dad in all the things you're doing now?
yeah, I don't think too many of the things uh, there's a lot of things that my dad was a little bit more traditional. Um, we did activities outside of the house. We would go and play. We'd go swimming. We would do uh, go and play ping pong and or go to the beach sometimes. But he wasn't in terms of inside the house. There was a distinction between the motherly role and the fatherly role, and he wasn't cooking, he wasn't preparing the meals. I don't think he changed diapers. I don't recall that. I don't believe that that was part of uh, the roles that he added on his plate. Um, I think it's a little different. I think in terms of actively kind of splitting the responsibility, I do more, and this is not something that I observed growing up. Um, and not to say bad or good, but it just wasn't something that I grew up in, and that my dad he did different things, and so um, it was just for me. Part of it was the way that uh, you know I raised my first daughter, and the way we split the responsibilities, even though for most of that time we weren't together, just put me kind of in a space of I'll take on some of these things that maybe don't traditionally fall in the lap of most men, you know and so I've carried that forward in terms of how I operate now. So um uh I don't I think it's more common now, but historically men don't have a carrier with a child on it. That's just not the way things historically happen. My dad never did that. My mom did. So it's different. There are some things that I take away. I just try to be actively involved, and I understand the kind of responsibility split is a little different. I just try to do everything that I can as I'm able to just make sure we have a functioning household. Yeah.
Well, I love what I want, the functioning household. So if you're saying most of the things you do now was not basically or totally based on the influence from your dad, so where how and where did you learn all you do now as a great husband and father?
I don't know if I learned it from a particular place, but I just made a decision, when it really was when my first daughter was born, which was not, you know, it wasn't our plan. It wasn't part of our plan that we were going to have a child together. But, I made the decision that I wanted to be a responsible parent and a responsible father. And in doing so, I said, I'll take on some of these things, many of these things. So I think it's just an active decision, right? If you look at, our communities, and particularly communities of color, historically, men have walked away from their responsibility too often, and it's been to the detriment of the community at large. That children grow up, they don't oftentimes have their father actively involved, being a good model for them, and so they look to other sources, the streets, other places that don't provide, I think, the best examples all the time, and we pay a price for that as a community. So I just made the decision. I was fortunate to grow up in a household with both of my parents around, actively involved, and I said, let me do the best that I can. So I don't know that there was any particular place that I looked to for guidance per se, except to say that I grew up in a household where both my parents were around. They were both involved, and I said, let me make sure I do that.
Hmm.
And in terms of just the little things, the changing the diapers, the cooking breakfast, cooking meals for the kids, or that, that's, you don't really, that's just, you can do that naturally. It's a choice. But if you want to be a responsible parent, and take on those things, that's just part of what you decide to do or not do. So, I just have made the conscious decision to try to do those things, so that, you know, my children never feel like they were shortchanged, as best as I can. So,
Wow. Wow. All right, that leads to my next question. Many people say a lot of things about respect. A man's ego. So, do you think a man could lose his respect if he steps in to do all we assume should be done by women?
yeah, I don't know. That's personal. If I can certainly see that there are some people who will say, it's I don't do this, and they might draw a line at certain things they will not do, or they're not, their roles. They look at, the role that they think that they need to carry, and they have certain boundaries that they set up, and that's personal. And so if a person says that, this is not my lane, I don't do the diaper changing, I don't do the bottle feeding, I don't cook the meals, I don't do X, Y, or Z, that's up to that person. I don't know that it's an ego thing. Like, it doesn't bother me one way or the other. I don't have a problem, for example, carrying my daughter. If I happen to be out and about and I have this carrier on, some people may not think that that's a thing that they'd be able to do, I have no problem with doing it. I did it with my first daughter. I've done it with all of the children. So um, I just don't operate in that space. But I know some people who do. It's a personal decision, and if that's just the way, kind of that they operate and they look at life, that's it is what it is. And I don't think there's any rules that everyone has to subscribe to. Certainly anymore, those things have changed. They're changing. Uh, the kind of binary framework that talks about this is what men do, this is what women do. That's sort of, you know, that's been changing, adjusting, rearranging, and it looks different, I think, now than it has historically. And each person just makes the decision of what works for them.
Oh. And yeah, because many people have the ability that, oh, if I should do this, probably I'm going to lose my respect from my wife, which also I don't think it is. Well, everyone has their own personal angle to it. That takes us to the next question. What are the challenges you're faced as a great father and husband that viewers can learn from over the years?
Yeah, I mean, all of these relationships, they take work. The relationships with your children, the relationship with your spouse, the relationships with your friends, they all take work, and it requires an investment of time and effort. There's ups and downs. um, you know I'm probably not as strong of a disciplinarian that my parents were, and that I should be sometimes. Um, the relationships take work. You get tested. Your patience. Um, what you can what you can accept. And so I think, for me, um, I try not to be too hard on myself. I try to make sure I'm actively just present and involved and trying to do better with my wife and our situation and our communication, um, and better with the children. Always staying on top of what they're involved in, what they're doing, um, and make sure that they have an active relationship with us, that they're doing things with us. They have their own lives that they're building and growing. But especially now with all the amount of social media and the material out there that they can be exposed to or happen upon by themselves, it just requires staying on top of really diligent effort as parents to make sure you're watching and paying attention and trying to do things that take them off those the devices and those platforms. So uh, I just try to carve out as much time as I can to make sure I'm doing things that they will have, that they'll remember, that as they grow up, they'll have some examples that they can lean on as they, go through life and start their own relationships and so on and so forth. So, we're just always trying to do what we can to leave the world a little bit better, leave our children a little bit better. And so that's just what I try to do.
Well, uh, uh, um, and my next question is, if there is anything you would love to change or do better as a great father and husband, if you have the opportunity, what would that be?
That's a good question. Um, uh, I think it's good to set milestones, good to set goals and uh, targets um, that you like to achieve. I do some of that. I think I'd like to do more of that in terms of, here are some things we want to achieve this year, this month, the quarter. Um, from a relationship standpoint, for the children, standpoint. Um, and so, kind of setting sort of an outline and a plan of here's where we'd like to get to. I think I'd like to um, work a little bit more specifically on setting those things up so that we're always kind of we're shooting for something, and it kind of gives you give yourself some goalposts to reach for. So that's certainly I think something I want to do more of and work a little bit harder at.
Wow. Yeah, sometimes we look at it back and we probably felt, oh, I wish I know this better, and I would have made some changes to it. But unfortunately, we don't really have the opportunity most of the time. But sometimes we
Right.
could have the opportunity to rewrite some things to be done in our lives. And so, if there is anything you would probably love to uh, okay, before I get to this particular question, so what are your hobbies? What do you like doing, and how do you get your wife along with the kids? Obviously, couples, husband and wife might not really like the same thing. So, but you still want to do the things that you love to do. So, how do you do the things that you love to do, and you still have your wife, being carried along, and how do you manage that?
We work together and we work independently. My wife has her own life, her own friendships. She likes to get out with her friends and go out and do things and enjoy time with them. And I try to allow that space as much as possible, and not try to squeeze or lean in on that. And to the extent that I may go out or hang with friends of mine, or do go out for dinner or whatever have you. um I get that space as needed. um with the children, we like to, we do exercise together. We have a little bit of exercise area, and we started kind of doing some online workouts that we do together. Um, we recently began a kind of a diet program that we work together, my wife and I, that has allowed us to lose a little bit of weight together. Um, we like to go out to shows. So we've gone out to Broadway shows, um, and different activities in town. When back when life was normal and you could do those things. Um, but we just do things, in terms of hobbies. We like to do stuff around the house. I do a lot of things with the children. Um, I'm into electronics, I'm into robotics, into computers. So some of those things I do activities with the kids or with my son. He likes some of those things, so we'll do some of those projects together. We get out the house and try to, just exercise, play basketball, you know, and those things. So we have a few different activities that we'll do, or some stuff that I might do on my own. But that's a few of them.
Okay. We have a question here before we move to the last question. So what advice do you have for single men out there?
For single men, well, that's a very kind of broad question. Uh, it's as a single man that wants to be married, a single man that wants to stay single. Um, I, I
I
don't know
think
if
that
I
once
have
you
any good
marry,
advice for single men. It depends on their agenda. What are they looking for? What is their goal? Is it to be married with children? If so, then they've got to, commit to that, and it's a sacrifice. It's letting go of the single life. But I won't say that's the path for everyone, or some people may enjoy that. Some people enjoy the single life, and if you do, then hey, have a great time. Um, there's no thing that says you need to lock yourself down, if that's not something that you want to do. Um, it takes a lot of work. It does take a lot of work. It takes a lot of commitment. It takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of money. It takes a lot of time. So, um, you know, if that's something that's of value and that's important, you just have to commit the effort and time and willingness to do it. But if you're young and single and free, that's a great life too. That's not a bad life.
okay. Yeah, I just think most single guys out there. Well, many people probably think marriage is it's an easy walk. You just come in, and you're married, and then before you know it, 20 years is gone. I'm like, no way, it doesn't work that way. It
No,
takes
no, it doesn't.
hard work. It takes
A lot of
hard
work.
work, a
And
lot of work.
you will be tested in every way.
Yeah,
Uh,
and
yeah,
that's if you want a good marriage. It's then you're gonna be ready for the hard work. But if you
that's
if
right.
you, if you don't really if you don't really want a good marriage, then you can just sit down, and take a back seat, relax, you know, let things happen as they come. Yeah, but if you
Yeah,
if you truly want a good marriage, it takes a lot of work, a lot of work, and I think that's one thing. So many married men out there need to know. I think many people feel, when you hear the issue of divorce here and there, they feel, oh, it was meant to happen, it's meant to be. But unfortunately, some of them do not consider to see that they probably didn't put a lot of effort and work to it, and that it didn't work out. No, not because it shouldn't work out, but it didn't work out because uh, both parties were not working towards it working out. Uh, that's what I feel. So on the final note, what what advice would you have for fathers, husband out there? Now that you have the opportunity of reaching out to them.
yeah. I mean, it's like you said. I think it's work. It's a lot of work. It's a commitment. It's a recommitment to the effort, the time, the investment. Investment in your relationship, investment in your spouse, investment in your children. So all investment in your own personal life, your work. So you have to balance all of those things, and you always look at the priorities that you have, and how you're managing those things. So I think you always want to kind of take a temperature and say, are you are you giving appropriately to all of those different aspects of your life, whether it's work, whether it's relationship, whether it's children? Um, is anyone being shortchanged? And if so, then what do you need to do to address that, and get yourself in a path where you're doing a good job with the balancing act, right? Because you're going to constantly be doing that. You know, always you're just going to be juggling. So you just want to make sure you're doing the best you can. And if you're coming up short in some areas, then take a look at what you're doing and what you need to do to um, balance better. Shift maybe some of the attention. If you're spending too much of attention in work, can you take away a little bit of that and focus, in some other areas? So um, it's a balancing act, and it's conscious decision, that you make. You have to just constantly be making decisions that put you in the right position and on the right path, or reposition you if you're on the wrong path.
Wow. Wow. All right. On the final note, we have about 3 minutes more. So, outside being a husband and a father, outside being into a career man in the financial sector, what else do you do for fun? Do you have fun at all?
You know, I um, I enjoy doing like video work. I've done some in the past. I've tried to get back into it. Um, like I said, I do a lot of activities with my children. I have fun doing that. I enjoy. I've always been into um, computers, into electronics, into robotics, um, into trains. So we build tracks. We build sophisticated train tracks. I've got all kind of battery operated trains, and we will
Wow.
build these elaborate tracks. We enjoy doing that. I do that with the kids, or sometimes by myself, actually. Um, and then I like to get out, um, talk to, hang out with, my friends from time to time. Um, follow what's going on in the world events, and you know, render my opinion among my friends with that. So I try to do it, different things. A lot of it's revolved around the kids, but you know, that's I think the long and short of it.
Wow. Wow. It's been a wonderful 1 hour session with you, and I'm sure fathers, husband out there would have probably picked one or two things learn from, and then uh, be, be truly a great father and husband, and they come to understand that it's actually possible. It's not something that is impossible. It's working for you, and several other men can also do the same thing. Want to say thank you
That's
for
right.
the opportunity of having you here today. Then, uh, thank you so much for being a good representative of a great father and a husband out there. Please keep it up. Then,
Thank
then
you.
thank you.
Thanks for having me, Deja. I enjoyed it. Hopefully, something I said was of value. But I had
Yes,
a good time talking.
yeah, it was a good one. It was a good one. Thank you so much. All right.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. We'll talk soon.
Yeah, sure. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, viewers, thank you so much for joining us. We come to an end of today's live conversation with Ayo Deji and Ifoshe and Mr. Cornelius. Thank you so much. I hope you learned one or two things that can help you build your home and be a better husband and be a better father. It's very important. It's possible. It's working for him. It's working for me, and I'm sure it's working for so many other men. And then very soon again, I'm going to bring up somebody else, and then we can all learn and be a better father, be a better husband. But the ultimate practice is to be a great one. Until we see next time, my name is still Ayobide Foshi. Make sure you subscribe to my channel and expect more content. Currently, I still have 14 days to end this month, releasing videos every day for my 30-day challenge. Today is actually the 15th day, so I have 15 more days. So, guys, uh, look, so guys, I want to thank you so much for joining. I can see my wife, James Ward, and I can see on one of my brother-in-law, uh, Mr. Oluwafemi Adetiba. Thank you so much for joining. Love you guys. Hope to see you next time again. And please share this video to make a difference in the life of a father and a husband out there. All right. Bye.